Good evening and welcome to the, had to get the date together, November 22nd, 2022 meeting of the Abington School Board of Directors. I note the attendance of all board members with the exception of Dr. Kleiman, Dr. Mowry, and Ms. Fazy, who are excused. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. The Abington Board of School Directors has convened this evening's meeting at the Administration Building, and the public is welcome. In consideration of the health and safety of the school community, this meeting is also being broadcasted live on the Abington School District YouTube channel. The meeting is being recorded and will be accessible on the district's website and cable channel no later than Monday, November 28th, 2022, to allow those members of the public who cannot participate to view the proceeding at a later time. Comments from citizens will be conducted in person and by phone. Information regarding participating remotely in public comment will be displayed on the screen at the time of public comment. The board thanks the public in advance for its cooperation, and we remind everyone that this is a place where we hold dignity and high regard. Your voices are respected in this space. Are there any comments or additional agenda items to be brought up from my fellow board members? Excellent. We'll open up with comments. Mr. Allen?
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Frazier?
No, thank you.
Mr. Kay?
Yeah, I'm a 1985 graduate of Abington High School, and one of the most exciting things for me is tonight. I love the art that people make. One, I was very lucky to have great art teachers here at Abington, and I was lucky enough to make part of my living as an artist and as an illustrator over the years. So when your kids come and they show this sort of work, it's not just fun. Sometimes it can be something that helps them, something that shows them a great future, something they can do amazing things with, something that communicates great ideas. So I just want to thank all of the parents and the teachers for supporting your kids and coming out here for something like this. It's really exciting. We all love it, and thank you for doing this for the district.
Indeed, indeed. Ms. Glasser? No, thank you. Mr. Muhammad?
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Fetcher, any announcements for this evening?
Yes, I have a few announcements this evening. Thank you, Mrs. Brown. As we have discussed at previous board meetings this year, Abington School District is implementing a tax rebate program of up to 25% for select homeowners over age 65. An informational meeting will be held at the Administration Building for those who qualify on Friday, December 9th from 9:30 until 11:30 a.m. At this meeting, homeowners can learn how to apply for the state rebate program, which is a prerequisite to qualify for the Abington School District program. Printed copies of Abington School District's form will also be made available at this meeting. There's more information, including whom to contact with questions, and that's available on our website. The information will also be posted to our district's social media, cable channel, and we have also reached out to area organizations to share this information with any of their potential eligible members. In addition, I would like to take a moment to announce that the board of the Foundation for Abington School District will hold its regular meeting on Monday, December 12th, 2022 at 6 p.m. here in the boardroom of the Administration Building. Thank you. And as far as comments are concerned,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to welcome all the families here for an exciting evening. And as you will see, I get to see these paintings and pictures on a daily basis because they're in this building. So I appreciate it.
Very beautiful work. And with no further ado, Dr. Fetcher, can you proceed with this evening's honors?
All right. The moment you all have been waiting for. Dr. Matthew Harris, our supervisor of fine arts, and the art teachers have curated the 2022-2023 Abington School District Art Exhibit in the Administration Building. We will recognize the students who have created wonderful pieces of artwork and dedicated them to this building. Their artwork will be on display in the Administration Building for 4 years. Dr. Harris will present the virtual exhibit to you as we publicly recognize each student artist. Dr. Harris.
Thank you, Dr. Fetcher, Mrs. Brown, and Board of School Directors. So this evening, I'm very honored to present this year's exhibit. And as you heard, the art faculty worked very diligently curating this exhibit, but it was all grounded in the student artwork that was happening during classroom instruction. This year's pieces are currently being exhibited in the back of this boardroom and along the hallways of this first floor. And they are going to be displayed within the building across the next 4 years. So all the administrative staff will have the opportunity to enjoy them, as well as its visitors. So tonight, as we take you on this virtual tour and publicly recognize each student artist, we invite you to get to know them through what they're showing you and sharing with you. And also, as we view this artwork, I will introduce each art faculty member who will present a certificate to those students who are able to join us this evening. Please note that the grades listed in the presentation and the schools that are also listed represent where the students attended at the time they created this artwork. We will congratulate all of these student artists and faculty together at the conclusion of the virtual exhibit. And just before we launch into that, we want to recognize the district itself, specifically our art program. The Pennsylvania Art Education Association, again this year, granted us the endorsement of an outstanding visual arts community. This is something we competitively apply for recognition each year. It's only started in the past several years, but it does ask very detailed questions. Then they get more detailed every year about how rigorous and inclusive our programs are, how accessible they are, and how visible they are. So we are very proud to share that with the community this evening and appreciate everybody's support that makes that possible. So, presenting for Copper Beach Elementary School this evening is Ms. Dana Tascarella and Ms. Patricia Forrest. Come back here, Mia. Thank you. Wonderful. And our first student artist tonight is Mia Chen, who is being honored for her watercolor, paint, crayon, and marker work titled Castle. And next from Copper Beach is Charlotte Hanford, being honored for her oil pastel and tempera paint work entitled Sunflowers. Also being honored tonight is Jocelyn Gomez for their watercolor paint and crayon work entitled Monet Leaves. And Morgan Brown is being honored for their colored pencil and marker artwork that is a symmetrical animal face design. Next, we honor Eleanor Davis from Highland Elementary School for her tempera paint artwork entitled The Great Wave. And also being presented by Mrs. Patricia Forrest is an award that goes to Chiaka Akuda for their tempera paint artwork entitled Sign Language Inspired by Nancy Rourke. Presenting next for McKinley Elementary School is Ms. Donna Czar. And first, she is presenting to Grace Keenan for her mixed media work entitled Spring Flowers. There's a very unique use of coffee filters in this piece of artwork. And next is Ava Shalosky, who is being honored for their watercolor paint of tulips. And next from McKinley is Daniel Kaiser, who's being honored for his yarn and glue work entitled Audubon Flamingo. And next from Overlook Elementary School is Mrs. Margaret Johnson, who will be presenting the awards. And we're starting off with Malachi Wilson for his work, his crayon and marker work entitled Clark the Shark. And next is Emma Heibach, who's being honored for her marker and oil pastel work entitled Parrot. So presenting for Roslyn Elementary School are both Ms. Dana Tascarella and Mrs. Margaret Johnson. And first we're honoring Lucia Spiewak for their work, their watercolor paint and crayon work entitled Fall Trees. Followed by Nathan Yeager for his crayon and watercolor paint work entitled Sea Otter. And presenting for Mrs. Natalie Hirsch at Rydell Elementary School tonight is Ms. Patricia Forrest. And from Rydell, we first honor Mia Dietrich for her watercolor paint and marker work. That is a John James Audubon-inspired birdhouse. Next, we honor Sean Martinez for their watercolor paint, color pencil, and marker work that is a Van Gogh-inspired sunflowers. So on behalf of Willow Hill and Mr. Tony Shelton tonight, we honor Amaya Paul for her marker, color pencil, and crayon work that is Brito-inspired cat. And presenting for Mr. Shelton right now is Ms. Tascarella, who is presenting Gemma Wolbert for her Adara Batik design that is a crayon resist artwork. So presenting from our current Abington Middle School, but as these were created, the Abington Junior High School is in place of Ms. Kelly Steinlage, Ms. Trin Nguyen, and she's presenting to Caitlin Lay for her pencil artwork entitled Split Portrait. Next, we honor Rong Hong for the oil pastel creation that is hyper-realistic cheetah eye. And next, Ms. Nguyen presents to Nora Spurrier for her colored pencils artwork called Climate Change and Claustrophobia. And next we honor Jenny Huang for her watercolor pen and Sharpie artwork titled Watercolor Contour Portrait. We also honor from the Abington Senior High School, from faculty member Ms. Catherine Shields, Hannah Gillespie for her Horseshire Shoina creation in the ceramics program. And presenting Joshua Young this evening is Ms. Nicole Caracciolo for his pencil work entitled Still Life. And Mr. David Farrow is presenting to Evelyn Bartner for their linoleum cut artwork entitled Sold. Okay.
I usually like to spread it around with the and everything, but Evelyn won last year for this piece for USDA Youth Art Month. Best high school work, best region 11 Pennsylvania in Pennsylvania's work, and overall best in show. All three awards, like I said, three jurors. I have these other awards here from EAEA and Sergeant Art Show, which I brought some art supplies. So again, I will.
We're very happy to honor Evelyn's achievements both here and abroad. So thank you. And we look forward to seeing your artwork well into the future in the world. So, en masse, please help us acknowledge and congratulate this year's participants in our exhibit. And we also need to congratulate the faculty who tirelessly work all during the day, before the day, after the day, nurturing the growth of this creativity. And at this point, Dr. Fetcher,
Yes,
For
if
the
you
board, have
could
any
remain
comments?
where you are, because I know that, I just have a feeling that the board members would like to
Let's turn
have an
around and face the
opportunity
board.
to address you. So I will turn it over to you, Mrs. Brown.
Excellent. That was him, not me. I'm gonna,
It usually is.
I'm gonna give a shout out to our board member, Mr. K, who also is an artist. But it doesn't take an artist to recognize beauty and talent. So I'm gonna speak for myself in this moment and say that you are amazing. Your work makes our jaws drop. So continue to invest in your passion because you bring smiles to people's faces, and guess what? We need that today. We need that. So thank you so much. And for our artists on the board,
Wow. Like I need more competition. Just phenomenal, beautiful. I can't even say enough. It's a gallery I wish I had to see every day. Plus I get Nora Spurrier here, which is nice for me personally. But I just think it's amazing what you do, what you've done. Just keep doing it all the time, whenever you can. And tell your friends to do it too, because it's magnificent that you could share this sort of art with the world. So thank you for that.
And also, I'm curious, if this is there a gallery online where you could purchase artwork, the students' artwork?
Not yet, but we've been teasing that idea, myself and Dr. Brown.
I just want to say wow as well. Such beautiful work. Thank you so much for contributing to our world in such an amazing way. Thank you.
You really brought joy to this room tonight.
Yeah.
And it has to feel really good to be standing here in front of all of your family and all of these other strangers recognizing you. Thank you for bringing smiles to all of our faces and to mine. I appreciate that.
And I'm also trying to figure out, how do you do art on linoleum? So I'll be Googling that tonight. Thank you.
So for those of us who are not as talented in art, I'd like to say that you are talented, and I see even, I said to Mr. K during the middle of this, wow, in kindergarten, someone to be able to make a work of art like that. My memory of kindergarten was I did spill the paint in the drawer of the art cart and was in trouble then and probably since then for most of my academic career. That's why I do what I do today. So I'm just amazed at what you do, and my point in telling that story is, for those of you who have talent, nurture your talent and keep going with it. And no matter whether it becomes the focus of your life or an opportunity for you as an outlet with whatever you choose to do, it's amazing talent to have. And for those talentless artists, we are so jealous of your talent, so keep it up. And once again, I love that I can walk down the hallway here, and I come to work every day and get to see your works. And it truly brightens my day and helps me set my reason why I'm here and why I'm leading the school district, to remember the students and all the good that you can do and bring joy that you can bring to this community. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown, Dr. Fetcher, members of the Board of School Directors, and parents for supporting arts education and the opportunity to present to you this evening. So at this time, students, if you can follow your art teachers out into the lobby, families, if you would like to join us, we're going to have a final photo op out there for all the social meds and scrapbooks and the memory boxes. Thank you so much.
Dr. Fetcher, does that conclude our honors for this evening?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. We now turn to agenda item number 3, which are comments from citizens. Comments from citizens are being conducted both in person and by phone. The phone number to participate in public comment is 267-715-3717 and is featured on the screen at this time. You will be able to join the meeting by calling in on your mobile or landline phone. For members of the community who are within the building, please use a mic to the left or to the right of you and state your name and address. We'll give it a moment. Mr. Letts, can you confirm that there are no callers on the line?
That is confirmed.
Thank you. We will move to agenda item number 5. Mr. Kay, can you please read the recommendation for approval of the personnel addendum?
Yes, it is the recommended action that the Board of School Directors approves the changes in personnel as reflected in Personnel Addendum number 5.1.
Second.
We have a second. Dr. Fetcher?
Thank you, Mrs. Brown. The personnel addendum begins with item number 1 and the request of leaves of absence for 2 professional employees. The personnel addendum continues with the hiring of substitutes, compensation for a curriculum project, Title I parent meetings, IEP meetings, interpreter and translation services, and support personnel items.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Mrs. Young?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Mr. Kay?
Aye.
Mrs. Glasser?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye. Ayes have it and motion passes. Mr. Kay, can you please read the recommendation for approval of the financial report?
Is the recommended action that the Board of School Directors approves the financial report for the period ending October 31st, 2022, as reflected in Addendum number 6.1.
Second.
We have a second. Dr. Fetcher?
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Mr. Lionetti, would you please summarize the October 2022 financial report?
Thank you, Dr. Fetcher. As of October 31, we received $120 million of revenue, which is 71.2% of the $168.5 million revenue budget. Last year, through October, we received $113.5 million of revenue, which was 69.5% of the budget. Revenue collections are $6.5 million ahead of last year. Year-to-date, we've expended $46.8 million of our $180.9 million expense budget, which equates to 25.8%. Through the same period last year, $45.2 million were expended, which is 25.5% of the then $176.9 million budget. We've expended $1.6 million more this year compared to last year for this period, which equates to a minimal 0.3 percentage points. With respect to your capital projects fund, the district paid senior high school project contractors $360,000 in the month of October. The September food service report indicates an $83,000 loss for the month of September. Chartwell's contract has a guarantee of $85,000 for the year. Dr. Fetcher, that concludes my report. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Lionetti.
Thank you. Questions or comments from my fellow board members? Mrs. Young?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Mr. Kay?
Aye.
Mrs. Glasser?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye, ayes have it, and motion passes. Mr. Kay, can you please read the recommendation for approval of the payment of bills?
The recommended action that the Board of School Directors approves the payment of bills for the period ending October 31st, 2022, as reflected in addendum number 7.1.
Second.
We have a second, Dr. Fetcher.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown. I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding the payment of the bills.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Mrs. Young?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Mr. Kay?
Aye.
Mrs. Glasser?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye, ayes have it, and motion passes. Mr. Kay, can you please read the recommendation for permits for the use of buildings and grounds?
Is the recommended action that the Board of School Directors approves the applications for permits for use of buildings and grounds as reflected in addendum number 8.1. All permits are subject to change per the provisions of the Health and Safety Plan pertaining to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Second.
We have a second, Dr. Fetcher.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown. The permit addendum continues to reflect requests for buildings and grounds, for meetings and other school events and activities. I bring your attention to permit number 191, which I'm very excited about, for the Abington Senior High School's performance of the musical Footloose on March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And I will save dance moves for later.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Nothing? All right. Mrs. Young?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Mr. Kay?
Aye.
Mrs. Glasser?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye, ayes have it, and motion passes. Mr. Kay, can you please read the recommendation for awards of contracts?
Yes, it is the recommended action that the Board of School Directors approves the awards of contracts as reflected in addendum number 9.1.
Second.
We have a second, Dr. Fetcher.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Tonight, for your consideration, we have one award of contract and one Montgomery County Consortium of Communities award. The first award of contract is for the replacement copiers for the administration building, print shop for a 60-month operating lease. And this will take place during the general fund budgets for each year of the lease. And next, the Consortium of Communities Montgomery County award is for bulk rock salt. As the weather gets colder, we need to make sure we have that.
Agreed. Questions or comments from the board? Mrs. Young?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Mr. Kay?
Aye.
Mrs. Glasser?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye, ayes have it, and motion passes. Mr. Kay, can you please read the recommendation for the Local Tax Collection Law Act 57?
It is the recommended action that the Board of School Directors approves the Act 57 Abington School District Resolution as reflected in addendum number 10.1.
Second.
We have a second, Dr. Fetcher.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. In July of 2022, Governor Wolf signed into law House Bill number 430 as Act 57 of 2022, which is a local tax collection law, effective of failure to receive tax notice. Beginning with the 2023-2024 school year, Act 57 requires that school districts to pass an ordinance or resolution requiring school tax collectors to waive additional charges or penalties for real estate taxes under certain limit circumstances. I'd ask if Mr. O'Donnell, who has any, would like to expand on that at all?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Fetcher. The limited circumstances under which this waiver of penalty applies are, one, the taxpayer must assert that they did not receive the tax notice. Two, they must have acquired the property within the 12 months prior to the time they submit their request for waiver. And three, they must pay the full amount of face tax at the time they request the waiver. So it's essentially to eliminate the issue of a new property owner not receiving the tax bill, finding out about the tax only by getting a delinquency notice or something later than that. Pennsylvania law has always been failure to receive the tax notice is not an excuse for non-payment because it is a known thing that occurs with property owners. But this mandates you pass this resolution so that in that limited set of circumstances, those taxpayers will get a relief from the penalty.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Mrs. Young?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Mr. K?
Aye.
Mrs. Glasser?
Aye.
Mr. Muhammad?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye, ayes have it, and motion passes. Dr. Fetcher, are there any additional reports?
I provide the conference attendance and professional leaves for your information. I'd like to bring your attention to Ms. Janine Sack, our literacy supervisor, who will be presenting at the Keystone State Literacy Association Conference in Hershey on November 27th and through November 29th. The presentation will focus on using technology to enhance face-to-face instruction.
Excellent. Any questions from the board? Okay. Any additional business to be brought about from my fellow board members?
Dr. Fetcher, if you, I know that you gave the date for the information session for those that are interested in the tax rebate program. I'm not sure if that's on the website or if that was going to go on the website.
Yes, if it is, it should be on the website, correct?
Yes, it's on our tax rebate page.
So,
Can we also put the meeting on the homepage?
it's
Just
on
to-
that calendar of events.
Great.
It's great that you're doing that, so just to make sure
Make
it's
sure people know about it.
easily accessible.
Thank you.
Excellent. Anything else from my fellow board members? Okay. We're going to agenda item number 13, comments from citizens. Comments from citizens are being conducted both in person and by phone. The phone number to participate in public comment is 267-715-3717 and is featured on the board. I'll read it again a little slower. 267-715-3717. For community members present, you can make a comment at the mics to the left and to the right of you. Please be sure to state your name and address. We'll give it a moment. Mr. Lutz, can you confirm that there are no callers on the line?
That is confirmed.
Thank you. We are near the conclusion of our meeting. We will close out with comments from my fellow board members. Mr. Allen?
Nothing, thank you.
Ms. Frazier?
No, thank you.
Mr. Kay?
Thanksgiving to everyone.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes, happy Thanksgiving, and I am very grateful to be able to serve on this board and to be with all of you, so thank you.
Excellent. Mr. Muhammad?
I just want to make an acknowledgement to the victims of the shooting in Colorado Springs. Acts of hate continue to happen in our country. Acts of hate continue to happen across this world, and it's heartbreaking. I also like to acknowledge Indigenous American Heritage Month, and to remind us all to remember the Indigenous Americans who experienced acts of hate and continue to experience acts of hate.
Dr. Fetcher?
I just want to extend a warm, happy Thanksgiving to our community and hope that you have an opportunity to either spend time with your family or alone, whichever you prefer, and have an opportunity to relax and recharge as we get back to school and work toward the new year as well.
Definitely. I agree with everything that was said. I just wanted to add my sentiments to what happened on November 21st. I read the horrific news resulting in the murder of members of the LGBTQ plus community. I was heartbroken, and we can't afford to be silent. So we have to do better. We must do better. And one of the ways we can do better is by acknowledging and recognizing and making sure that we practice inclusive practices. One way of doing that is acknowledging things like Transgender Awareness Week, which was observed November 13th through 19th. It's a time for people to learn about those who are different and who are the same, and make sure that we eliminate hate by embracing love. So that's what I want to share with you. I wish everyone a healthy break. This meeting is adjourned.